In yesterday's lecture, we have discussed about three-phase system. In three-phase system, we discussed the Y to delta type and delta to delta type and delta to delta type system. And today we discuss about delta to Y system. In delta to Y systems, we have a balanced source which is delta connected feeding to a balanced Y connected load. So in this system, how can we find the line voltage and the line current? So for this, we need to convert this delta system to Y system, and then we check the line voltage and the line current. So when we convert the delta system to the Y system, so we have the voltage of the phase VAB is converted to VAN. And we know that the VAN in the Y system is VP under root 3 at the angle of minus 30 degree, which is 30-degree leading voltage of the phase voltage. So what is the phase voltage here? So we have the phase voltage is VAB, which is the reference phase voltage. And that is VP at the angle of 0 degree. So in that way, we find the VBN and VCN, and we calculate it in terms of VAN, which is the reference voltage. So this is the positive sequence. So the phase is minus 30 degree, minus 120 degree, and plus 120 degree, or minus 240 degree. So after getting the conversion into a Y system, we get the phase value of the phase voltage of the Y system. Now we calculate the value of the line current, which is in fact is equal to the phase current. So the value of this line current is that we take VAN, VBN, and VCN and divided it by the load impedance, which is same in the Y system. So here you can see that we have the impedance Vy is same in the Y network. So we take all these impedances and we take all the phase voltages and divided it by the phase impedance, and we get the value of the phase current, which is equal to the line current. Now from this line current, we calculate the line voltage. So we calculate the line voltage, which is equal to the phase voltage. So that is IAZY, and that is equal to VAN, and VBN is also equal to VBN, and VCN is equal to VCN. So in that system, we have the line voltage is equal to the voltage, and the line current is equal to the phase current. So now we have a Y connected load with a phase resistance of 40 ohm and reactance of 25 ohm, or you can say the impedance of the load per phase is 40 plus 25J. So it is connected to a delta source. So the line voltage of the source is 210 volts. So it is a delta to Y system. Now we have to calculate the value of the phase current, and we use the line voltage VAB. So in this, we have the impedance, we convert it into polar form, and then we have the source voltage, which is the line voltage. And from this line voltage, we convert it into the Y connected source. And the Y connected source, we have the value of the phase voltage is given by this formula. So again, we calculate the line currents by dividing the phase voltage, which is equal to the line voltage and the impedance of the Y connected load. So from this, we calculate the line currents IA, IB, and IC. So that line currents are same as that of the phase currents. Now we have another example in which a balanced delta to Y circuit has VAB 240 at the angle of 15 degree, and we have VY 12 plus J 5 ohm. So we convert this delta line voltage into the Y connected phase voltage. So Y connected phase voltage VAN is divided this by under root 3, and we have leading this voltage by minus 30 degree. So we will get the value of this phase voltage, and this phase voltage is equal to the line voltage. And when we divide this by impedance, we calculate the value of the line current. And if it is a positive sequence, so we will find the value of the current at plus 120 degree and minus 240 degree for the given load. So now there is the summary of what we have learned. So first we learn about the Y to Y connected system. In Y to Y connected system, we have the value of the phase voltage. So the value of the phase voltage in a positive sequence is 0 degree, minus 120 degree, and plus 120 degree. And the magnitude is same. So we calculate the value of the line voltage. So the line voltage is under root 3 VP at the angle of 30 degree, and the same we have this VAB as a reference. So we have minus 120 degree and plus 120 degree, the value of the line voltage. So in short, we can say in Y to Y system, the line voltage is under root 3 Vp of the phase voltage, right? What about the line current? So the line current is in fact is the line voltage divided by the total impedance of the line, total impedance. So total impedance is the source impedance, that is in fact is the load impedance or the line impedance, right? So in this system, when we calculate the line currents, so the phase currents are same as that of the line currents, right? So the most common form of the system is the Y to delta connected system, that the source is Y connected and load is delta connected. So in this system, we have the phase voltage is given by the formulas as we have the Y connected system. So what about the line voltage? Line voltage is again the under root 3 Vp at the angle of 30 degree, as we have seen in the previous case. Now, from these line voltages, we calculate the value of the phase currents IAB. So this current IAB is the phase current, and this IBC is the phase current, and this ICA is the phase current. So the load is delta connected. So we need to calculate the phase currents first, and then we can find the line currents as the phase current under root 3 minus 30 degree. So it means that Y to delta connected system, so the phase voltage is given in a positive sequence. So we have the line voltage is under root 3 times of the phase voltage with a 30 degree lagging voltage, and the current is under root 3 times of the phase current and minus 30 degree lagging. So this is in fact is the Y to delta connected system. For a delta to delta system, we have the phase voltage and the line voltage are same. So what we calculate, we need to calculate the phase currents IAB, IBC, and ICA. So for this, we calculate the phase currents, and the line currents are the under root 3 times of the phase current and with lagging phase of 30 degree. So in delta to delta connected system, the phase voltage and line voltage is same, and the line current is in fact is the under root 3 times of the phase current with the lagging angle of minus 30 degree. So next we have delta to Y system. So that system is in fact is we have the phase voltages, and this phase voltages is same as that of line voltages, and we calculate the currents of the line by having the phase voltage, which is given here at the angle of minus 30 degree by under root 3 Zy. So we have these values of line currents when we convert this to the Y network. So we have that much value of the line current. So that under root 3 and that minus 30 degree is because we have converted this into the Y network. So the value of the line current is same as that of these line currents. So the phase currents and line currents are same, and the phase voltage and line voltages are also same. So this is the summary. What we have learned so far. Now we have to discuss the power in a three-phase system. So we have previously learned the concept of average power, complex power, apparent power, real power, reactive power in a single phase system. Now we have to review these concepts in a three-phase system. In a three-phase system, we have the almost the same procedure to find the power of the system. So we consider a Y network, and in this Y network we have the phase voltage is under root 2 Vp cos omega t. Here we consider Vp as the RMS voltage, and to find the peak value or to find the maximum value, we multiply it by under root 2. So in a positive sequence, we have VBN at minus 120 degree and VCN as minus 240 degree, and we convert it into a positive angle by summing up 360 degree, which is 120 degree. So these are the phase voltages of the Y network. So we want to find the instantaneous power absorbed by the load. So this requires the analysis to be done in time domain. So we consider a load which is a Y connected load, and in this the impedance Zy is Z at the angle of theta degree. So the value of the phase current is in fact is Ia under root 2 Ip cos omega t minus theta, and similarly we have the sequence of phases in the corresponding other two phases of the Y connected network. The value of this theta is here because of the value of the impedance, right? So you have the included value of theta because of the value of the impedance, right? And now we calculate the power dissipated across the load in each phase, and we sum up all these powers to get the total instantaneous power. So that is the voltage, phase voltage into the phase current, and similarly we multiplied the phase voltage and the phase current for all the corresponding phases. Now we multiply the value of the reference phase and the phase of the, in a sequence, in a positive sequence, we have the B and C phase. So if we solve this integral, so initially we have solved the integral for the first phase, and we will get the value of this integral is Vp I cos theta. So the value of each component is Vp Ip cos theta. So this will be become the 3 times of Vp Ip cos theta. So this is the instantaneous power and is independent of time. So this is, in fact, we have seen that the instantaneous, this instantaneous power is independent of time, as we have found in the single phase system. Now we can have the average power, reactive power, apparent power, and the complex power of each phase as we have in the single phase system. So if we are considering per phase average power and per phase reactive power and per phase apparent power and per phase complex power, so all these powers are same as we have in the single phase system. Now the total average power is, in fact, is same as we have calculated the, in the system here. So this is, in fact, is the component which is, in fact, is the real power or the average power. So this is the real power or the average power. And what about the reactive power? So reactive power, we have the sine theta. So how can we calculate this? This is, in fact, is the S sine theta, and the value of S is known here. So the value of average power per phase is Vp Ip, and the total apparent power is 3 Vp Ip. So here we have the total reactive power, which is 3 Vp Ip sine theta. Now this is in terms of phase voltage and phase current, and how can we find it in the form of line voltage and line currents. For this, we know the relationship that for a Y-connected system, IL is equal to IP and VL is equal to under root 3 Vp. So if we substitute the value of Vp here, so it is V line under root 3, and that is IP is equal to IL. So the value of this 3 divided by under root 3 will give under root 3, and we will have VL, IL, cos theta, right? So we can have the delta connected load. So in delta connected load, we have the situation otherwise that the I line is equal to under root 3 I phase and V line is equal to V phase, and we have the same power in terms of line voltages. Similarly, we calculate the reactive power in terms of under root 3 V line I line sine theta. So the total complex power is 3SP, and 3SP is in fact is 3V phase I phase conjugate, and this VP is IP VP, and we have 3IP square VP, or we can write this as VP conjugate divided by VP conjugate, and we have the 3VP square by VP conjugate. So this complex power can be written as P plus JQ, and that is under root 3 V line I line at the angle of Z. So how we can calculate the power loss in a 2-wire system and in a 3-wire system? So the power loss in a 2-wire system is 2 I line square R. If we substitute the value of IL in terms of power and voltage, so we have 2R PL square V line square. But for a 3-wire system, it is 3 I line square R dash, and 3 R dash is equal to P line square by 3 V line square, and that is in fact is R dash PL square VL square. Now we take the ratio of the two losses, and the ratio of these two losses is 2R by R dash. So because we have here 2R PL square VL square, and here we have R dash PL square VL square, so this PL VL square is cancelled by this, and the power loss in a 2-wire system is in fact twice the value of the resistance as compared to the value of resistance in a 3-phase network. So we want to convert this resistance into the form of radius. So we convert it in the form of radius, and we have the value of radius is 2R dash square by R square. So if we consider the power loss in the both system is same, so this ratio is 1, and we have R square is equal to 2R dash square. And now we substitute the volume in terms of volume of the material used in terms of copper. So we have this relationship, and we solve this relationship we will get 2r square by 3r dash square. And this is if the value, if both the resistances R have a ratio of R square by 2 R dash square. So we substitute the value of R square is 2 R dash square. So that value will become 4 by 3. So that is 1.333%. It means that the material required or the amount of copper required for a two-wire system is 33% more as compared to three-phase system. So for a long distance transmission, so it is difficult to handle heavy copper and the cost of the copper of the two-wire system. That's why we maintain a three-wire system for transmission of the power system. So in this three-wire system, we use some cables for transmission. So the overhead cables are in fact using different sort of physical structure as compared to the underground cables. In underground cables, we have the line 1 is red, line 2 is yellow, and line 3 is blue. And we have neutral and ground with black and green colors. So this is in fact is a identified color for a three-phase system. So now we have to solve the first problem. The first example. This is a Y-connected system with a load, and we have to calculate the total average power, reactive power, and complex power at the source and at the load. So the load delivered how much power and how much power is dissipated across the network. So for this, we have the power delivered is with the negative sign. So in fact, that is -3 Vp Ip conjugate. So we have the phase voltage and we have the phase current, and we take the value of 3 times and we calculate the total complex power of the system. So that much power in fact is the real power is in fact is 2087 watt. That is delivered by the network, and the reactive power of the system is in fact -834.6 watt. So in case of the load, we have calculate 3 Ip square Vp. So we calculate this with the Vp known, and with the Ip is equal to Ia 6.81 at the angle of -21 degree. So we take the square of this magnitude. Here we take the square of the magnitude only, and we are not considering the angle. So we are squaring the magnitude and we are multiplying it with the current value, and we will have the load, the power, complex power across the load, and the power absorbed is 1392 watt. And there is 1113.3 watt reactive power. Similarly, You can also calculate the power absorbed by the line. So this is how you calculate the power absorbed by the line. And the total power is in fact is zero. So the complex power of the source, line, and load is zero as expected. Now we have another example in which we have a three-phase motor. So this three-phase motor has a balanced Y load, and that motor draws that much power, real power, when the line voltage is this and the line current is this, and we have to find the power factor of the motor. So that problem is very simple. So we know the relationship in terms of line voltage and line current. So the apparent power is under root 3 V line, I line. So we will find the apparent power. And from this apparent power, we calculate the real power of the network. And we divide this real power with this apparent power to calculate the power factor of the network. So this is about the power system, and now we start some new concept about frequency. And actually, we have learned that how to transfer a circuit in a phasor form, which is the frequency representation of the circuit. So for this, we need the omega frequency of the source, which is supplying voltage or current to the network. And with the help of this value of omega, we can transform the circuit in the phasor representation or in frequency domain. Now, actually, the frequency response of the circuit is important. For example, we have a microphone circuit, and we want this microphone circuit to allow a range of frequencies to pass and suppress all other frequencies. And that frequency range starts from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So for any circuit, we can analyze the behavior by considering the input voltage and the output voltage, by considering the input current and the output current, and the power delivered and the power dissipated. So with the ratio of this, we can find the frequency response of the circuit. So in either way, you can determine the frequency response of the circuit. So, for example, so we have a linear network, right? So this linear network is in fact maybe contains a combination of RLC components. So we apply some voltage across this circuit and we get the output across any component of the circuit or across the load impedance. So the frequency response is the ratio of the output voltage or input voltage or the ratio of the output current or the input current, or it may be the power dissipated across the load to the power transmitted, power delivered to the load. So in that way, we can find the transfer function of a circuit in the frequency domain or in the form of phasor representation. So the frequency response determines the gain, in terms of voltage and in terms of current, in terms of transfer impedance, and in terms of transfer admittance. So this is the four possible forms of the transfer functions, and later we see that how can we elaborate it in the form of power as well. So as the frequency response is a complex quantity, so it has a magnitude and a phase, so we can elaborate it in magnitude and phase form. We have already seen that we have all these phasor voltage and phasor currents are in complex form. So by dividing it, we get the frequency response in complex form, and we can transfer, we can represent the magnitude and phase on separate form. To analyze the circuit, we transform the frequency response in this form, such that we have the numerator can be expressed in the form of roots. So, for example, if we have a polynomial and we have this polynomial having roots z1, z2, and zm, so we can express this polynomial in the form of these roots. And similarly, we have the polynomial here. So this frequency response is divided into the numerator polynomial and denominator polynomial of the in the form of roots, and the roots of the numerator are the zeros of the circuits. So these are the zeros of the circuits, and these are the poles of the circuits. So to avoid the complex algebra, we in the phasor representation or in circuit representation, we replace j omega by s. So this is for the sake of simplicity, we replace it by the term s. Now we see an example. We have an RC circuit and we have the supply voltage and we have the output across the capacitor. So what will be the voltage gain or the transfer function of the RC circuit? We have to find V out by Vs and its frequency response. So for this, we transform the circuit in the phasor representation or the frequency domain. So this is the frequency domain representation of the circuit. So we replace it in the frequency domain. So it is R1 by j omega c. Now we have V out by Vs. For this, we apply the voltage divider rule of the voltage divider rule across the circuit. So if we apply the voltage divider rule, it means that we have to multiply the V supply with this 1 by j omega c and divide this by the total impedance of the network. So this V out is equal to Vs into 1 by j omega c divided by the total impedance. So when we move Vs, when we divide V out by Vs, so we have this term left. And now this term is equal to V out by Vs, and this is the frequency response of the circuit. Now we rearrange the numerator and denominator in such a way that we have 1 over 1 plus j omega RC. So we can express this as a 1 plus SRC or 1 plus j omega RC. So the omega naught is equal to 1 by RC. So if we replace RC by 1 by omega naught, so we can write the frequency response as 1 by 1 plus S by omega naught or 1 over 1 plus j omega by omega naught. So if this is the frequency response, how can we split the magnitude and phase? So the magnitude is, in fact, is the, we take the square of real and the complex and take the under root. So this is the magnitude, and the tangent minus tangent inverse omega by omega naught is in fact is the phase of this circuit. Now the ratio of the omega by omega naught reflects the magnitude and phase in such a way that for the ratio of 0, we have the value 1 and 0, and for 1, we have the 0.71 and minus 45 degree. That is in fact is the typical value to be noted when the ratio of omega and omega naught is same, right? So that is in fact is the frequency response where it starts cutting off the higher frequency. So you know, if you recall that this omega is the frequency which we have assigned, or which we have the frequency of the network. And this omega frequency, this omega is relates to the frequency of the source. And then when this value of omega is omega naught, so you have the value, the magnitude is equal to 0.707. That means the voltage gain is 0.707. So, or you can say the output voltage is 0.707 of the input voltage. So that frequency is in fact is the cut-off frequency of the circuit, because after this it start gradually cutting off the higher frequency. So it start cutting off the higher frequencies. So this is in fact is used as a low pass filter. Later on, we also see that this RC circuit is also used for a high pass filter. So if the ratio of omega and omega naught is 2, so H is 0.45 and the angle is minus 60 degree, until or unless the ratio of omega naught is reaches 1 to 100 times. So the frequency response is 0.01 and minus 89 degree. And at infinity, it reaches to 0 and the phase reaches to minus 90 degree. So you can see that at infinity, it goes to 0 and the phase approaches to minus 90 degree at this point. So you can practice this for an RL network. So by considering the V out by Vs, and you can replace this by j omega L and replace this by j omega L, and you can see that what will be the value of omega naught for this circuit, and what is the value of this phase response and the magnitude response of the circuit. So this is the practice problem for you, and I'll give you how can you find the value of zero end poles with the transfer function V naught by I. This is the output voltage to the input current. So for this, we need to transform the network into the frequency domain. So we transform this circuit into the frequency domain, and we replace j omega by s. So this is in fact is 5, 3, 1 plus s by 10 and s2. So now we have to find the value of the output value of the V out S divided by I of S. So this is in fact is V out of S is, and I out of S is defined in such a way that you have to find the current divider rule, and in the current divider rule you have this you have to multiply this impedance with this impedance, because these two are in parallel, and then you can calculate the value of this current. So these two impedances are in parallel, so we will find the value of this impedance, and that impedance is V out by S by I of S. So here this V out is in fact not the output voltage. Here it is given as the input voltage and the input current. So here it is the input voltage and the input current, and we can find the value of poles by solving this polynomial and finding the roots. So when we solve this polynomial, so we can find the pole locations. So we have 2 poles and we have 2 zeros by solving the second polynomial. So this is all about today's lecture. For an assignment, you can solve this current gain problem for this circuit, and we will discuss this in the next lecture. So if you have any question, so you can ask now.